There's a lot of uncertainty going on about the dreaded Instagram algorithm, and if you ask me, lots of misinformation. I actually believe most of it is just misinformation out there. But luckily for you, my friends, I did lots of testing, lots of trial and error to be able to tell you exactly of how I think, at least how I think, the Instagram algorithm works in 2019. You can grow your Instagram presence, solidify this whole Instagram presence, grow to 10,000, 100,000, 1 million followers, up your engagement and become friends with the algorithm so that it recommends you to all of the people out there. Sounds awesome? Great, then let's get going. Let's get going. Welcome back, my friends. If you're new here, my name is Dominik. We talk about building a personal brand, a sustainable personal brand. We talk about social media marketing, and today we talk about the dreaded Instagram algorithm. In the past few months or years, actually, it feels like a lot has changed of the Instagram experience, especially since 2016, when they first announced or first introduced the algorithm. And a lot of people ever since then kind of want the old thing back, the chronological feedback, but I just tell you how it is. If you're one of those people, it's never gonna happen again, just because if you look at 2016 versus now, the Instagram stats, the user base has actually doubled since 2016 in the last 3 years. And in 2016, I believe there were about 500 million people, which is a whole lot. And now there's about 1 billion people monthly using this platform. So it's just it's not possible anymore to show a chronological feed to all the people out there. So, you have to deal with it. You have to deal with the algorithm. It's here. It has its faults. It has lots of flaws that we're gonna get into. But if you become friends with it, actually, it's gonna recommend you to a lot of potential new customers, a lot of potential new people and fans. And this is exactly what we're gonna talk about today. So first of all, we kind of have to know what is the intention of the algorithm to be able to, play with it, become friends with it. It's to make the users that are on the platform super happy, make them stay longer on there, while also trying to get rid of spammers and kind of trying to keep those people that inflate the Instagram numbers, the Instagram engagement, kind of try to keep them away from the platform. Why? Because Instagram is a huge advertising platform, lots of advertisers that are on there, and they pay big bucks to, actually advertise on Instagram. Basically, this thing is kind of like a double-edged sword, kind of like trying to keep the users happy, us users, the creators, plus the advertisers who actually fuel the whole platform. So always keep that in mind before we get into a little bit more deeper into what it actually does. And basically, there's two things the algorithm does, if you ask me. There's the recommendation system and the penalization system. Now let's talk about the bad things first. Of course, let's talk about the penalization system. I kind of figured out that Instagram has more or less some sort of trust score attached to each and every account. Basically that's just a way of them kind of tracking how valuable of a account is this person to us as a platform. Remember, first of all, to have some real interactions going on to, make all of the users happy, plus also how valuable is this account to make the advertisers happy on the platform. And, if you have a low trust score, that's kind of bad. They start to penalize you. If you have a high trust score, of course, they start recommending you to more and more accounts. And this is basically what you try to aim for. You try to aim for a high trust score. So, what kind of things does this trust score look out for? And, disclaimer, of course, nobody actually knows what the Instagram algorithm is really about. But I did lots of tests, and I'm actually pretty sure that, the things that we talk about in this video are pretty legit. So first of all, it tries to look out for some things that make the engagement inflated on Instagram. They don't like that because advertisers, they're like, we pay a lot of money for advertising on your platform based on your great engagement stats on Instagram. And if they figure out all of a sudden almost none or 50% of the engagement is just inflated by, for example, DM groups, power likes, buying stuff, followers, stuff like that, they're like, kind of like mad because that's not what they paid for. So naturally, you want to steer away from all of the inflated stuff, especially DM groups. They actually track, they know where you come from, they know how long people are on your on your profile, on your posts, how they scroll on it, stuff like that. They just know it. If they see you do some sort of black hatish thing, also bots, also you know, additional software like analytics, stuff like that. They just know it. They penalize you. They lower your trust score. They bring down your trust score a lot. Now, how do they actually penalize you? There's a few things that they can do. First of all, of course, cutting down your reach massively, and yeah, of course, the more users there are on the platform, the less reach they kind of have. It's just a matter of, you know, how many people are on there and they don't have time to watch all the content. So, you know, the reach kind of going down is like a normal thing. But if you notice that your reach has been cut down by a lot, well, you know, you might be, you know, hit by this penalization system. Also, they might cut your reach from hashtags. You might not be able to rank on big hashtags anymore. You might even not be able to rank on the explore page anymore. Not at all. They just try. It's kind of like a shadow. Actually, it's kind of like a shadow ban. And we're gonna make a separate video just about this in the 2019 shadow ban video. They're gonna do that. Of course, there's gonna be more stuff like, you know, giving you like blocks, follow blocks, right? Like the thing that's been happening right now, and that can even go as far as them disabling your account entirely and you being banned from Instagram. In terms of the like blocks, by the way, you might ask yourself now, what? I have a like block right now and I didn't do any of these things, because there's been a million people almost DMing me, messaging me about, you know, them having a follow block in the last few weeks, but they've never done anything out of the ordinary. They've never used any bots, software, stuff like that. And this is actually where I think this whole algorithm has a huge flaw behind it. I think they're just being too harsh. I think there's some mistakes, some errors, and I actually think the downtimes that have been going on in the past few weeks have something to do with the like blocks, stuff like that. They kind of maybe try to want to fix what's wrong with the algorithm, because it's, you know, if it just keeps going like that, it's not fun anymore. People are gonna get off the platform, and if it's not fun, you know, people are gonna be away faster than you can say hello. So personally, I think they programmed this whole thing too tightly. It might be a mistake actually, because I read it on YouTube. There's been a problem going on of notifications not being rolled out, and you know, people all had the wildest theories about how the accounts are shadow banned, stuff like that. But in reality, they just came out about there's been some mistake of some algorithmic mistake has been rolling throughout the user base, and they kind of fixed it. Now the notifications are back up again. So it could be a mistake, because, you know, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody, even the mighty Instagram gods out there. So, you know, hopefully you're gonna fix it, because Instagram, hello Instagram, if you see that, probably not. Please fix this, my friends. People are gonna go away. People are gonna find a way better platform, for example, Vero. The second thing is the recommendation part, or at least I call it that way, and it's basically the part that tries to show your content to as many people as possible that might be able to like or might be able to be interested in whatever you do. How does it do that? Basically through a lot of things. Basically what I figured out is image recognition plus you know, machine learning things. They know they track user behavior. That's what I think. They track kind of people who like your stuff, people who interact with your stuff. They track that. They kind of figure out some you know, similar audiences. By the way, kind of like lookalike audience and Facebook pixel stuff, you know, Facebook advertising managers. I believe the algorithm kind of does something similar with your Instagram content. And what I kind of figured out is I think they do a lot of split testing with content. They, you know, first of all, of course, they categorize your content. For example, you have a pet page, you have a dog page. It knows, and your pictures are dogs. It knows, all right, people who are usually like dogs and interact with dog pages are gonna like this, right? So your content is being shown against other similar kinds of posts in the dog niche, for example, and they're kind of being split tested side by side in the explore page. They're being seen, there's similar posts. They track the impressions and see how many people actually click through, how many people are actually clicking, you know, liking, you know, if it's a video, how long you're watching, I believe even might be, and how many people come to your profile, just stuff like that. And basically, you know, if you win one after another, you're gonna be shown to more and more people. It's gonna widen itself up. And basically, that's how a post becomes viral. Basically, winning all of these split tests, if you ask me. And this is actually an example why viral posts, no matter how many times they get reposted, they'll still end up in the Explore page. They still end up with thousands and thousands of likes, just because it's just usually viral posts are pretty good, and that's usually they win all those split tests because there's so many, so much content being thrown up on Instagram that, just good content always wins, which is why I say good content is the most important thing, my friends. So, really having your category down, your niche down is more important than ever, my friends. And hear me out, like I think the penalization part is kind of screwed in a way. I also think this part, the recommendation part, has some flaws, some big flaws. And let me tell you why. They kind of narrow it down too much. Because let me tell you an example. I probably talked about this already at some point, but I did some testing through a lot of weeks actually with some other profiles, plus with my personal profile. And on the Explore page, I got recommended this picture of the old World Trade Center. There was only one picture of the old World Trade Center in, so I just liked this picture. Went along with my business. All of a sudden, almost immediately actually, I started seeing a lot of these original World Trade Center pictures in my Explore feed coming up again. And it got to a point where it's like 70% World Trade Center pictures. So it's like kind of, you get what I mean? They're like, oh, he liked 1 or 2 World Trade Center pictures. Awesome. And this is actually really interesting. Apparently, they actually track it down to the World Trade Center pre-2001, for example. They really know, they put this super narrow thing in a category and just go with it. I did some other tests and I always had the same results. For example, once I liked John Lennon pictures, guess what? All of a sudden, John Lennon pictures all down, 1,000 John Lennon pictures, Freddie Mercury pictures, and some John Lennon pictures in front of the World Trade Center, which probably was kind of a clusterfuck for them. So what are the things that you should do to become the best friends with the algorithm, to organically grow again, to really get recommended by the Explore page, stuff like that? And the actual thing is, try to be as honest as possible. Try not to inflate anything. Stay clear, steer away from all of these softwares, from all these bots, from everything, unless you know what you do, but you probably don't, because almost nobody knows. And just try to stay clear of those things, and don't get alarmed if things take a long time until they start to take off, until you see some traction, because that's actually just the way it is. It takes a long time to see some traction, even though it's the internet. For example, Elvis, he went around for a few years until he started getting some traction. And in the end, he became the biggest star ever, the biggest rock star ever, whatever. But it took a long time. Same goes for real organic growth on Instagram. Unfortunately, you see it a lot with big established brands that kind of inflate their stats by buying likes, buying followers. I'm gonna do an episode about that pretty soon because I'm onto some people. Anyway, resist the urge to get some instant gratification. Because why? As you might know, they track it. They see these things are wrong, and the algorithm, it's going to get confused because all of a sudden there's so many people that don't really follow a category. They're like all over the place. They follow thousands of people per day. They have a super low trust score themselves, and you might be like, oh, it looks awesome. It's social proof for my company. I have 100,000 followers, even though I bought 99,000 followers. You ruin your chances of getting any organic growth at all because the algorithm's just gonna be confused first and foremost because it doesn't know who to recommend you to anymore. Second, they're gonna penalize you if you go back to this whole penalizing thing because the trust score is down, stuff like this. By the way, if lots of people with low trust score follow you, it's actually also bad for you because naturally those low quality trust score followers don't interact with you, don't interact with the platform. They might follow 4,000 or 5,000 people, and it's just not deemed valuable because it just knows the algorithm can't show posts of 5,000 people to this person, so it's kind of invaluable. Which you might want to track your what we call ghost followers or low trust score followers. So if you're wondering how many of my followers are low quality trust score, low trust score followers, go down to the link below in my description. Actually, my agency, we figured out a system where we can analyze how many ghost followers you have, how many low trust or low quality followers you have. We're gonna analyze that totally for free for you. Just go down below, fill out this thing, and we're gonna go from there. And if you want to get those low quality followers removed by someone who actually knows what they're doing, me for example, just go down to the link below, fill out the thing. We're gonna analyze your followers, we're gonna remove them in a super safe manner, and basically bring your trust score up, bring your engagement up, bring your whole account score up, which is basically comes back to your personal brand, comes back to the longevity of your account. Anyway, this has been it for this week. This has been about the algorithm. This is actually the most comprehensive thing about the Instagram algorithm that's out there, I believe. If you got some questions, of course, just comment down below. I want to know. Maybe there's a bunch of questions that come up right now for you. Of course, I want to do a video about this. Other than that, you know, have fun becoming friends with the algorithm. My name is Dominic. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video, of course. And don't forget to check back for some other videos in a couple of days. Anyway, I'll see you. I probably won't see you, but you will see me. Bye-bye.